For this tutorial, you will need about 180 grams of yarn. I'm using 4-weight cotton lily sugar and cream yarn, and a 3.5mm hook, some stitch markers, and a tapestry needle. For the construction of this garment, we are going to start with the cups. You'll make one and then the other, and then you'll attach them at the same time as you're making the side bands, and then we will continue with the body and finish it off with the border around the cups. And then we will go in and add the strings so we can lace it up and tie on our top. The hardest part about this top is going to be this little keyhole addition, and it's not that complicated as long as you follow the video, so don't worry, you got this. I'll walk you right through it. So we're going to start off with a slip knot, and this is just pulling the yarn through your hook. If you have any trouble making a slip knot or any of these stitches, you can look on my channel or plenty of other channels. There are lots of tutorials out there, and they are really easy to show you how to do these stitches. There are no super complicated stitches in here. So we're going to start off by chaining 16. And then we're going to go back and double crochet into each of these chains, starting with the second one from the hook. So at the end of this, we will end up with 15 double crochets. Okay, now that we have our 15 double crochet, we are going to chain one and turn our work. And now we are going to do the same thing, double crochet in each of these stitches. So we'll have 15. And this last one, you want to make sure you go through the top of that stitch. It might be a little crooked, but that's okay. Once you have your 15 double crochet for the second time, we are going to find the little space that we chained from the row before. It's going to be those little loops right there. So we're going to double crochet in that space. Should be pretty easy to stick your hook through, and you're going to do 2 double crochet in that space, and then we're going to chain 1 and 2 double crochet, and this is going to be our increase to make the cup. It also brings us to the other side of our chain so that we're going to continue working on this side of the chain. So we're going to double crochet across. You want to make sure you get that first stitch so that you'll end up with 15 at the end. And your last double crochet is going to be in this space right here around your slip knot. And there you have your second row for the cup. So we are just going to continue in the same pattern of whenever you get to your last double crochet in the chain space, you're going to 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet. So I'll show you one more time at the end of this row. Chain 1, turn your work, and double crochet across. So you're going to double crochet in all of the double crochets that you've done the row before. And then once you reach the chain space, you're going to 2 double crochet, chain 1, and 2 double crochet. And that is your increase for the round. That's going to bring you to the other side. And then you're going to double crochet in each stitch around. So make sure you don't miss this first one. Sometimes it can stay a little hidden. And then we're going to keep going so that you eventually have 10 rows of this. We have 1 row that we did, that was the first row of double crochets that we did, and then we increased, and then we increased again. So that's 3 rows so far. So you're going to count from this middle stripe and continuing out until we have 10 on one side. Okay, now that we have our cup, you're actually going to make 2 of these, obviously. So the first one you're going to go ahead and finish off, and then you're going to do your next one, but then you're going to leave the yarn connected. You're not going to fasten off, you're not going to cut your yarn. And here we're going to start the body band or the side bands for the body of our top. So the first thing we're going to do is chain 22. We're going to go back and double crochet in each chain, skipping the first one closest. So we're going to go here. So we will have 21 double crochet. So now we're going to go along the bottom edge of our cup, and we're just going to double crochet all across. So for this first stitch, I also did some sort of almost invisible decrease stitch just so that I could close that gap right there. It's not the biggest of deals if you don't, but I just thought it filled the space a little nicer and didn't leave a massive hole right there. But yes, we're just going to double crochet across. And also while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and crochet over my end from the beginning chain. That is just going to save me time later and one less end to weave in, you know? And then I'm just going to tug on my work because I did crochet over that end. I don't want it to bunch up on here at all. And then we are going to double crochet in that last stitch right there, just like that. So once you have that double crochet in that last stitch, we are going to foundation double crochet 4. And this is going to give us space in between the cups so we can create that little keyhole effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over and insert into the leg and the back leg of your double crochet. So let me show you that again. So again, with our yarn over, we're going to insert into our left leg and then the leg behind it so that we have space for our foundation double crochet. And we're going to pull a yarn through, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop. That is our foundation. And then we are going to finish our double crochet by pulling through 2 and yarn over, pull through 2. So now we are going to do that again. We are going to insert our hook into that leg and the leg behind it, just like that. We're going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do this 2 more times. And now that we have all of those, we are going to connect to our other cup. And to connect this in a nice way to where there's no like dangling pieces, we're going to insert like we're doing a foundation crochet, and then we're going to insert it also into that first stitch. So when we pull through, that foundation is going to be connected, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And that is just going to give us a little bit of a stronger connection there instead of having it dangling a little bit separately. So now we are going to double crochet all the way across our cup, all the way to the other side. And in the meantime, I'm also going to be crocheting over my ends. And now we have double crocheted into the last stitch right there. That's the side of this row right here. Now we are going to foundation double crochet 21 so that we have our matching side band over here. Now another thing that I like to do, you can do this at any point, but I'm just going to show you right now, is that this row, we're going to call this the right side. So I like to put a stitch marker just on this side of one of these stitches. so that I know, okay, this is the front of my piece, and this will just make it a little less confusing later on as we go. The other 2 stitch markers are going to come in handy in just a second, but let's do our foundation double crochet 21 times to match the band. Now that we have 21 foundation double crochet, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we are going to double crochet all the way across our work, and we are going to do this for 10 rows. And this is going to be the body of your work. And now you can do less rows or you can do more rows. It's up to you and your desired length, but for these ones, I did 10 rows of double crochet. And I will meet you back in 10 rows. Right, now we have done 10 rows of double crochet for the body. And here is what it looks like so far. Now we are going to do the granny stitch clusters for the border. So to start, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we're going to just do a double crochet in the first stitch. And then here's where we're going to start the granny stitch. So we're going to skip 2 stitches, and then we're going to put 3 double crochets in the next stitch. So again, we're skipping those 2, and then we're putting 3 double crochets, which is a granny stitch, in that 3rd stitch. And we're just going to continue going across. We're not going to chain or anything like that. We're just going to go skip 2, granny stitch. Skip 2, and granny stitch. And now that we've reached the other side, we're just going to do 1 double crochet in that last stitch to finish off the row. And then we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. And then we are just going to put 3 double crochets in each space between the granny clusters, the granny stitches. So we're going to start off with this first space. We're going to do 3 double crochets. And again, we're not chaining 1 or anything in between the clusters, and we're just going to go all the way across, and I'll meet you on the other side. And that will finish the body of our top. So now we can go ahead and fasten off and cut this yarn. Just leave a tail to weave in later. And we can continue up at the top. So now I want to flip to the right side of my project if you're not already there. Okay, so because this is the right side of my project, I am going to join my yarn on the right side of the cups. I'm going to go right here just so I can connect it right here. So we're going to join our yarn right in this stitch right here. So now that I'm connected here, I am just going to go ahead and you're going to yarn over and insert your hook into the top of this stitch and the top of the stitch where you want your stitch, and just double crochet like that. So that kind of closes it up a little bit. So now that we have our first double crochet in the first stitch of the cup, we are going to skip 2, and then we're going to do a granny stitch or 3 double crochets in the next stitch. Just like that. And we're going to continue skipping 2 and putting a granny stitch in the 3rd stitch all the way around the cups. Now that we've reached the top of our cup, we are just going to double crochet in the top chain stitch just like that. And so now we are going to pause really quick, and we are going to count and place stitch markers after 20 stitches from the top. So from that chain space, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to put my stitch marker right after the 20th stitch. And then we're going to count, and we should have 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So now we're going to count the same on the other side. I'm going to go from this chain space and we're going to count 20 stitches down. So this is where our keyhole is going to go. So we're going to continue skipping 2, cluster all the way over here. Now that we have a total of 17 clusters from the start over here, we have 17, not including the first double crochet, just the clusters. We are going to skip 2 and single crochet into that first stitch after the stitch marker. Just like that. And then we are going to continue single crocheting all the way to this corner. So what I did here is I went ahead and did a decrease stitch in these just to close, oops, just to close the gap a little bit. We're going to do 3 single crochets in these chains right here, in these stitches right here. So we have our 3 single crochets right there, and I'm just going to do another decrease in this stitch and this first stitch right here. And that closes that corner up just like that. So now we have 12 more single crochet. Now that we are at 11 single crochet on this side, so we have 1 stitch right before the stitch marker, we are going to chain 3 and join it to the other side. We're going to join it to the second single crochet that we did next to the stitch marker. So not the first one, but the second one. And I'm just going to yarn over and single crochet, not slip stitch. So we have connected to the other side. Now before we work single crochet across the chain, we are going to slip stitch to that first single crochet right next to the marker, just like that. And that secures it a little better to this side so that it's even on both sides. And now I'm going to work across the chain. I like to work in the back bumps just so it leaves a nice edge on the bottom and it looks a little more uniform with the keyhole, but you can work it however you want to if you're not comfortable with working into the back bumps. So we have 3 single crochet across our chain. Now we are going to slip stitch right into that same stitch that we came from, and then we are going to single crochet in the stitch right next to the stitch marker. So we slip stitched into where we came our chain came from, and then we single crocheted right next to it, next to the stitch marker. So now we want to keep our sides even, so we are going to skip 2 and do our granny stitch in that third stitch from the stitch marker. And just to be sure, we can check with the other side and make sure that's what we did. We have 1, 2, and then the granny stitch, and we have 1, 2, and then the granny stitch. So then we are going to continue skipping 2 and doing a granny stitch all the way to the top of this cup. And now we are going to granny stitch in the chain 1 space of our cup. Just like that. And then we are going to, again, match the other side so that our count is correct. We're going to skip 3. And again, we skipped 3 just for that first one, so we could keep it even with this cup over here, how we skipped 3 to get to the chain space. And so now we just want to keep it even, but after that first where you skip 3, you're going to continue skipping 2 and doing a granny stitch all the way down. Okay, and for this last one, I'm just going to do a decrease into this one and the first one of the cup. Just like that. And now I'm going to slip stitch just to connect that to the side band like we did on this side. And then we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now for this first space we're going to be working into, we're going to do 2 double crochet. And I like to do this just because I don't want it to flare out too much from here. I want to keep it more of a slope. And then we are going to continue putting 3 double crochets in each space between the clusters. And I will show you what we do when we get to our keyhole detail. Now that we are right here, we are going to do 2 double crochets in this chain right above the stitch marker. I'm sorry, this space right above the stitch marker. So we're just going to do 2, because again, I don't want it to be too bulky right there. And then right here, we're going to go to the middle, so the second single crochet right here, we're going to put a cluster right here. We're going to do 3 double crochets. And then in this space, we're going to do 2 double crochets just like the other side. And then we're going to continue on putting 3 double crochets in each space. And just like the other side where we started, we're going to do 2 double crochet in this last space. And then just to finish this off, we're going to slip stitch right here where we originally slip stitched to join. Just like that. And then we are going to finish this off. So now we can cut this yarn. And the only thing we have left to do is the straps. So let's get to that. This is the right side of my top. So I am going to attach my yarn, not in the very center, but I'm going to go 1 to the side, and I'm going to do that middle stitch of this cluster. And that I've found is just a nicer place to anchor it. When you're pulling on this, instead of pulling in the very center, it pulls a little bit more distributed across the fabric. So we're going to join our yarn right there. We are going to chain 80 and then slip stitch back across that chain. And now I'm just going to go and slip stitch into each of these chains all the way back. And then once you've made your way all the way back, we're going to slip stitch once again into that same spot that we did our first slip stitch, and then you can fasten off and cut your yarn. So we are going to do this the same thing on the other side. Again, I just go through that middle stitch of the cluster to the side of that center space. We'll do the same thing, 80 chain and then slip stitch back. And then for the other straps, I do 2 straps, 1 on each corner right here. And that's just so I can get a really nice lace up. I attach them here and then I chain 160 and then I slip stitch back. I attach here, chain 160, slip stitch back, and then I will show you how to lace it up. All right, so now I have all of my straps attached, and they do seem really long, but we're going to lace them up on these back rows right here. So I usually go a couple or a few rows down and lace it through one of the spaces right here. And then I just go back and forth lacing it up. And I try to keep them pretty even, just a few rows down. And then the last one I make sure is like in one of these, this space right here for the granny stitch, just so that it gets the bottom of it. And right there. Now I just have to weave in my ends, and then we are all done. And this is our top finished. I hope you liked this. Show me any pictures, tag me on social media if you make one of these. I'd love to see it. Let me know how it turns out, and let me know if you have any questions down below. And also subscribe if you like this video, give this video a like, share it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!